So section 5.3, do a few problems out of 5.3. If I can get this thing off. There we go. All right, so first problem is more so conceptual. This one is as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have a little calculation at the end, so let's look at it. The following situation involves the rate of change that is constant. Remember, we talked about rate of change last class. That is your slope, average rate of change. Write a statement that describes how one variable changes with respect to the other. Give the rate of change numerically, and use the rate of change rule to answer any questions. So you run along a path at constant speed of 2.6 miles per hour. How far do you travel in 1.8 hours and then 3.6 hours? So this relationship, first of all, we want to be able to determine how far you travel. So we want to be able to find the distance. So there's the distance traveled with respect to time. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at B and D, the distance traveled with respect to time. And then with the rate of, notice how this one says 2.6 hours per mile. But remember, we have miles per hour. So make sure you pay attention to the words and your units. So it should be D, distance traveled varies with respect to time with a rate of 2.6, once again, miles per hour. And that should be that one. Okay, next, how far do you travel in 1.8 hours? All we're gonna do is take that 2.6 and convert it to hours by multiplying it by that 1.8. So 2.6 times 1.8 is 4.68. Same thing for the next one. Take the 2.6, your rate, multiply it times that 3.6. And that's 9.36. All right, questions on that before we go to the next one? All right. Here, we want to, it says the following situation can be modeled by a linear function, or, basically an equation, write an equation for the linear function and use it to answer the given question. So the price of a particular model car is $19,000 today and rises with time at a constant rate of $840 per year. How much will a new car cost in 3.1 years? So first, we want to make sure we hold true to the variables that they give us. It says write an equation where P is the price of the car and T is the time in years. So we're going to do P equals, because we want to be able to calculate the price. So P is going to be equal to, first we recognize that the car starts at $19,000. Now it's going to rise. So if it's going to rise, that means increase. So that's going to be a plus. Now if it was going to decrease or depreciate, then we would use a minus sign. So make sure you pay attention to the details and the words that they give you. Once again, this car is going to appreciate, it's going to rise in cost. So that's 19,000 plus $840 per year, and they tell us that T is our years. All right, questions on the setup? All right. So from there, you will plug in 3.1 in for T. It says the price of the car after 3.1 years. So that's 840 times 3.1 plus 19,000. So it should be 21,604. All right, questions? Any questions? see what's the next one that we're going to do. Okay, this one is similar to the one we just did. Notice it says decreases here. So it means we'll use a minus sign instead of a plus sign. All right, so this one was a little bit different. I'll show you why. It just gives you like an extra step to consider. So it says a $1,350 washing machine and a laundromat depreciated, is depreciated for tax purposes at a rate of $90 per year. Find the function for the depreciated value of the washing machine as it varies with time. What does the depreciated value, when does the depreciated value reach $0? All right, so we want to write this equation. Notice V is going to equal value, and notice right here, T is the variable. So when we talk about this equation, it starts off at 1350, then it depreciates. In other words, it's going to lower in value at $90 per year, and T is going to represent years for us. All right. Question on that part. Hold on one second. All right. So then it says that your equation, it takes V years for the time to reach depreciate. Okay, so let me write this down. Switch to the notes. Where's my note sheet? Hold on. Come on. There we go. So our equation is V is equal to 1350 minus 90 degrees minus 90 times T. Then they ask us find the function depreciated. When does the depreciated value reach 0? So we want to know when is V equal to 0. So we plug in 0 for V and then solve. So subtract 1350 from both sides. Excuse me. Then divide by negative 90. T is equal to 4, 5, 15. All right, so it takes 15 years for the machine to depreciate to $0. All right, questions on that one. So you let V be equal to 0, then solve. All right, here we talked about this last class on how we can use our slope and the y-intercept to graph. So we have y equal to negative 9x minus 6. Well, let me just write here. It says, what is the slope? So the number that's in front of x or attached to x is your slope, so it's negative 9. And then it says, what is your y-intercept? Notice it says right as an ordered pair. When we talk about the characteristic of all y-intercepts is that x is equal to 0. So the ordered pair will be 0, negative 6. And the other number is your y-intercept. All right. So now if we're going to graph that, let's make sure we're okay with what that information means to us. That's -9, and we said our y-intercept is -6. Say that's an ordered pair of -6. And then here, don't forget that this is a fraction. And that's -9 over +1. So you're going to go down 9, right 1. So we're going to graph this point first, 0, -6, then go from that point down 9, and then right 1. All right, so let's go back on the graph. We click this point, we're going to go to -6. Notice how it's in increments of 2. So -6 will be right there in between the -4 and 8. We want to go down 9. So that's 6 or 16. So right here, and then over 1. Let's see. Hopefully that's close enough. Yep, it's close enough. So it went down 9 to the right 1. All right. Questions before we go to the next one? These other problems are similar. Same type of deal. Okay, this one is not hard, but I just want to make sure we were okay with what it was asking of you. It says refer to the graph. Find y when x is equal to 8. So if you magnify the graph, x equal to 8 is down here. If you look at your x-axis, you see 8, and then you will go up to where it is, and that's at 5. So when x is equal to 8, y is 5. You don't think you can see the dot that I'm making here. But when x is equal to 8, y is 5. You go up to the line. So any questions on that? So all you do is write a 5 right here. All right, so now for this one, they don't want you to necessarily do any type of calculation, but they want you to see the pattern. So let's find an equation or line that contains the points for this table. Notice when x is 0, y is -3. When x is 1, y is -2. When x is 2, y is -1. When x is 3, y is 0. And then when x is 4, y is 1. So you want to know what pattern do you see, or what equation I can create that when I plug in x, I get these values. And so the easiest one to look at is that when x is 0, y is -3. So if I were to do x minus 3 as my equation, when I plug in 0, simplify that, I get -3. Then I'll challenge that with the rest of them to make sure that holds true for the rest. When I plug in 1 for x, 1 minus 3 is -2. When I plug in 2, 2 minus 3 is -1, and so on. So that's all it would be, is just that y is equal to x minus 3 as my pattern, my equation. All right. Next one, no, that's the reading the graph. Similar. 5, 6. Give the slope y-intercept, because we already did that. No, this is it right here. So this one's a little bit different just because it gives you an extra step. They want you to give the slope and the y-intercept in their graph. So we have 4y, 3x minus 16. So we have 4y equal to 3x minus 16. And remember, in order for me to be able to pick out what my slope is, pick out what my y-intercept is, I need to solve my equation for y. You get y by itself. So what I'll do is divide both sides by 4. 4 is canceled, and don't forget that this 4 has to go to each term on the other side. So y is equal to 3x over 4 minus 16 over 4. Then we can simplify. 3/4 x minus 4. And from there, my slope is 3/4. My y-intercept is at -4. Slope is 3/4. Y-intercept, and they want it as an ordered pair. So that's 0, -4. Then they ask us to graph. Now remember, you always graph your y-intercept first. So we go to 0, -4. That's right here. And then both values are positive. So that means we're going to go up 3, right 4. So go to either increment. So 1, 2, 3, then right 4. And that should be the line. Let's make sure you pay attention to your increments. If they're going by 1s, by 2s, or whatever the case may be. All right. That's the last one for 5.3. Questions before we go to 5.4. Some questions may not show up till you actually start this stuff, so I understand that as well. All right, so let's linear regression 5.4. All right. So 5.4, this first one. So it says create a scattergram. Scattergram is just plotting points. Normally it's just in the first quadrant, and you use that plotting to be able to compare data and do estimates and so on. So you want to look at these points. We have 117, and you're actually going to plot, these points that are in this chart. So you're looking at 117, 315, 510, 75, and 93. So if I'm going to grab 117, I know it's not A. And it's going to, what's my increments? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So it will have to be C. That's the only one that fits 117. That's my first point. And so you notice that none of the other ones fit that. So it's not like they're making you graph all points. Really, all you have to do is make sure the first couple of them actually match, and you're okay. Now, A, B, and C are our choices for B. It says, are the variables X and Y linearly related, approximately linearly related, or neither? So linear related means keyword in there is straight line, is a line, linear line. So we're looking for a straight line. If it is a straight line, then it is linear related. So if we look at B right here, that would be linearly related. If there's any deviation from that, then it will be approximately linear related. And then if it's not a line at all, then it's not related at all. So you look at A right here, that's not related at all. C and D are approximately linearly related, if I get it out. So we will look at it being approximately linearly related. questions on that before we go to the next one? Everybody okay with the distinction? A right here is not linear related. B is linearly related, and then C and D are approximately, because it's not exactly a straight line, but it's close to it. All right, draw a line that comes close to the points on your scatter diagram. So basically, you're going to take C and draw a straight line through it, and that straight line is the line that best summarizes a linear relationship. So it can't be A right here, because remember, your graph is right here at C. So it has to be that exact graph, but a line drawn through it. So that would be C. All right, so which point on the line in part C has an x coordinate of 6? So you go here, go to the line, and you go to 6, and we see that the 6, when you go up, it matches at 8. It touches the line at 8. So the ordered pair. Okay, here we go. It's going to be 6, 8. Okay, I don't like it. All right, I won't use that no more. There you go. So 6, 8. Then which point has a y coordinate of 12? So go back to here. Y is up here at 12, and it matches with the 4 for x. So 12, 4. And everybody okay with that? So don't forget, though, it's an ordered pair. The order matters. Your x coordinate or x component of your coordinate goes first. So y was 12. That means the ordered pair has to be 4, 12. All right. So for the next one, what is the y-intercept of the line? Don't forget, I mentioned before, your y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So we go here, x is 0, right here at this far line furthest to the left, so that's at 20. So that ordered pair is going to be, once again, your x coordinate is first. X component is first. So it should be 0, 20. And then you want to know what is your x-intercept. Your x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So you go back to your graph, and you see down here, when y is 0, x is 10. So that'll be 10, 0. Oh, didn't mean to go off of it, but questions on that before we leave? All right. Next one, very similar. Create a scatter diagram. And here we have to be careful. Notice we start off in 1970. Your horizontal axis, T, is years since 1970. So that means 0 is 1970, 10 is 1980, 20 is 1990, and so on. So that's what we mean down there. And so we're going to graph these accordingly. So 0 has to be 3. And then 1980, which is at 10, has to be 14. So we're going 5, 10, 15. So that should be right under that one. So it should be A. All right. Then, just like before, draw a line that best summarizes your relationship. That's going to be B. You're using the same graph from A and drawing a line straight through it. So that would be B for us. So then here, predict the percentage of dentistry degrees that will be earned by women in 2010. So 2010 is going to be 40 years from 1970. So let's go here. So 40 years from 1970, all the way over here to the right. And that goes up to 45, 46, about 46. I'm looking at it right. Yep. Let's try 46. So just have to get close to what they have up there. Then for D, estimate when women earn 20% of dentistry degrees. So go back to your graph. So 20% is right here on the left. And that matches up with, guys, 75, 80, 85. So 1985. All right, questions on that one? All right, so next one we go to here. So without graphing, they want us to estimate the coordinates of the t-intercept for the line that comes close to your data points. So what we're going to do is we look at the fact that we have 0 in the right coordinate. We see 13, 0, 10, 0, 12, 0, negative 15, 0. And so what we're going to do is look at the right coordinate, the wind chill, and see when does it cross over from negative to positive, because that's when my 0 would be. So it goes from negative 35, negative 24, negative 20, negative 11, negative 5. Then it goes to positive 6. So the 0 is in between negative 5 and 6. Then if we look to the right, so my temperature coordinate should be between 10 and 13. So the value that's in between 10 and 13 is right here at 12. So 12, 0 would be that. Then we do the same thing with the left coordinate, or the left component of our coordinates, which would be temperature. So we look for our temperature and see when does it cross over from negative to positive. Right here at negative 3 to 4. So that means my wind chill should be in between negative 20 and negative 11. And the value that's in between negative 20 and negative 11 is negative 15. All right. Questions? All right. So here we have, due to a crackdown on fraudulent corporate reports, the number of restatements of facts in such reports has increased approximately linearly from 279 in 2003 to 1959 in 2007. Let N be the number of restatements in the year that is T years since 2000. Find an equation or a linear model to describe the data. All right, so let's go to the notes and write down what is given. So we have T years and N, let me do it like this. T number of years since 2000, and N number of restatements. All right. So look at the information that they gave us in reference to those two. it says that 279 in 2003. So in 2003, we had 279 restatements. And then in 2007, 1959. So let me go back and make sure we're good. 1959 and 279. So now, don't forget, that's number of years since 2000. So T is actually going to be 3 and 7 for our years. Before we go any further, make sure we are okay. Looking at something. There we go. All right, so the first thing we want to do is find the slope. Talked about that last class. We call this point 1, call this point 2. Remember your slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In this case, this is x and this is y. All right, so y2 is 1959, y1 would be 279, x2 is 7, x1 would be 3. So do the calculation. 1959 minus 279, 1680 over 4, 420. All right. So next we'll use the point slope formula. Let me see if I wrote that right in my last class. Curious because I'm right. Yeah, I did right. Okay, cool. Make sure I wrote down the right name of the formula. Anyway, so that's going to be y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1, wherein m is our slope, and that's 420. And we can use either one of the points that we have because both of them are on the line and both of them work and it'll give us the same line. But since I've already labeled this as x1, y1, I'll stay hold true to it. But I could use the other point as well if I like. But we have 420 and then 3, 279 as my x1, y1. We're going to plug in for y1, m, and x1. So that's y minus 279 equal to 420 times x minus 3. Distribute. And then we want to add 279 to both sides to solve for y. That would be 981. So that is the equation, y equal to 420x minus 981. And if we want to use the variables that they gave us, remember we have t as our x and y is our n. So that means n is equal to 420t minus 981. All right, n is equal to 420t minus 981. So that's it right there. All right, questions before we go to the next one? Same stuff. I get that. Okay. Here, this one's a little different just because they ask you about function notation. Okay, 1013. Okay, so this will be, we'll do a few of this and then we'll stop. So we talked about function notation earlier part of class. This one harks back to that. We have an equation P equal to 0.77t minus 4318. Models a percentage of births outside marriage in a country at T years since 1900s. So rewrite the equation P equal to 0.77t minus 43.18 with function named f. So what do they mean by that? All right. So we have P is equal to 0.77t minus 43.18. Go back, make sure I got my stuff right. 0.77t minus 43.18. So basically, it wants to write it in function notation. So they want us to replace P with f of t. I want you to replace it with the function f. So you don't write f of p because remember what this function notation says that I'm going to plug in t, a number for t, and then that will tell me to plug in the number for t into my function. So this is how you would rewrite that equation. You substitute this f of t for p itself. So that'd be this for, where it goes, f of t right here. And it says find f of 111. And what does that result mean? So that means you're going to take 111 and plug it into the equation. It just means you're going to go 0.77 times 111 minus 43.18. So that just means, that's all that means that you're going to do. So 0.77 times 111 minus 43.18. So that's 42.29. All right, so then it says according to the model. So basically you need to interpret the result. According to the model, about blank percent births in the year blank will be outside of marriage. So what you just calculated was the births. So that's a percentage of births. So that's 42.29. And then that was 111. So don't forget that's since 1900. So you add that 111 to 1900, which would be 2011. And that would be the answer. So I'll do C, and then we'll put a pause on, knocking out all your homework. So notice how it asks, how C is asking you the question. Find the value of T so that F of T is equal to 47. So it says that F of T is equal to 47. So that means I'm going to take this equation and plug in 47 where I see F of T. and then solve for t. All right, so add 43.18 to both sides. Eight, 90.77 t. All right, and divide by 0.77. T is equal to 117.1169. Then you go to my math lab, it says around the 2 decimal places, so 117.12. And that would be that answer. All right. Questions. Questions on anything I've written, or even how class is going to be handled moving forward. Some questions may not come up till you get in there. So next class, of course, I'll open the floor up for questions first before we look to do anything else new. But yep, that's it for 5.4. Should be a good start for you guys going into chapters, section 5.3 and 5.4. All right. So is there anything before we look to close for today? All right. Okay, so try the stuff out. See if you get stuck. If you have any questions, like I said, the first thing I'll do is open up the floor for questions. We only have 1 month left, y'all. One decent month left as far as getting this work done. So make sure, take advantage of it. Don't forget, there will be a solid week where we will not do anything new because that will be Thanksgiving week. So yeah, take advantage of that too. If you're behind, that will give you the opportunity to get caught up. All right. So if you're good, I'm good. I will see you guys on next class, and y'all have a great weekend and be safe.